about Hillary Clinton's private email server.
This time, the news comes directly from an FBI report about the Bureau's interview with Secretary Clinton.
Kristen Fisher is here from Washington, D.C. this morning to break it all down. Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, this was a classic document dump right before a big holiday weekend, and boy, did it contain some bombshells. One of the biggest is that during her interview with the FBI, she told investigators that she could not remember key details about her emails at least 35 times. She told FBI agents that she could not recall when she got a security clearance, she could not recall any training on handling classified information, and she could not recall specialized training for managing the U.S. government's most closely held secrets, known as special access programs. Now, another bombshell is that we learned unequivocally that Hillary Clinton herself was concerned that her private email server had been hacked. Quote, Clinton was worried someone was hacking into her email, given that she received an email from a known associate containing a link to a website with pornographic material. The document went on to say that open source information indicated that if opened, the targeted user's device may have been infected and information would have been sent to at least 3 computers overseas, including one in Russia. Now, the Clinton campaign is responding with a statement, and it reads in part, while her use of a single email account was clearly a mistake and she has taken responsibility for it, these materials make clear why the Justice Department believed there was no basis to move forward with this case. But critics and her Republican rival aren't buying it. Donald Trump said yesterday Hillary Clinton's answers to the FBI about her private email server defy belief. After reading these documents, I really don't understand how she was able to get away from prosecution. Now, one final thing that we learned, Clinton had not 2, but 13 mobile devices, and the FBI wasn't able to recover any of them, partly because, according to these documents, an aide to Bill Clinton used a hammer, physically used a hammer, to smash Clinton's Blackberries when she was done with them. Tucker, Rain, and Clayton, back to you.
Oh, it's hammer time.
That is amazing.
Kristen Fisher, live from Washington. Thanks, Kristen.
13 devices. Who has 13 devices?
That's not even 13.
This is not even 13 devices. Who carries... I'm sorry. Some of these are our producer's devices, so the ones that I just dropped, I apologize. But how do you keep track of all of these?
Well, she didn't, actually. We don't know where they are. Which is, they said, well, we broke one in half.
They would mysteriously...
How do you know which one's ringing half the time? I can barely keep track of one.
Well, they would dispose of the SIM cards, the aides would, and then, as Kristen Fisher said, a couple of them, one aide smashed it with a hammer or broke it in half.
So we know all this because the FBI dumped a 60-page dossier on its interview with Hillary Clinton yesterday, which, as you know, was the Friday before Memorial Day weekend at about 3 in the afternoon. This is not the first time we've seen this. This is a pattern of putting out relevant information right before holiday weekend.
Remember, we were just saying this on the July 4th weekend, but here's a little walk down memory lane. Take a look at this. Memorial Day weekend in 2015, that was the first email release, 296 emails, so everyone was away for a long weekend there.
Then on New Year's Eve, yeah, everybody's certainly thinking about politics at that time and not celebrating the new year. And there were 3,079 emails released then.
Then the 4th of July weekend, Clinton was, of course, questioned by the FBI. That took place while you were out barbecuing.
Right.
And then what happened yesterday? So here's why this is bad and ominous and a little bit scary, actually, because the FBI did it. This is what political campaigns do. They try to protect the principle by dumping the stuff on a day when people aren't paying attention. That's totally fine. We get it. Both sides do it. Fine. The FBI is a law enforcement agency. They're not supposed to be helping Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump or any politician. And so the next time you get arrested and you're sitting there under the bright lights being sweated by the FBI, you want to believe these are people who are totally nonpartisan, who are committed only to justice. They're not trying to advance a political agenda. And I'm having trouble believing that's true.
Well, a lot of conservatives have called into question the integrity of the investigation, even, not just the timing of when the documents have been dumped on these holiday weekends. And even if everything is completely credible and that James Comey, since he seems to have been calling all the shots, that you know, he can be trusted and did everything correctly, dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, it certainly plays into the Donald Trump narrative that the system is rigged, and that's a narrative that Donald Trump has been winning on.
I mean, there's so much.
It may be true.
And there's so much to dissect from this. I mean, we can just dive into some of these things that we're learning now from this. She seems to repeatedly throughout these emails and these documents deferring to other people on classified information. Either I don't recall or I don't even know what the letter C means. C being stamped classified.
Oh, no, it's like alphabetical order. I thought A, B, C. That's what she said.
Right. Deferring to other people like Colin Powell, even after Colin Powell warns her repeatedly in these emails. There are so many things in here that stand out.
Well, what's so interesting is she's making the case that, unlike Trump, she's competent. She knows what she's doing. She's been around a long time. She's kind of got it down. She's the adult in the room. And yet she tells the FBI, yeah, I was reading this, I saw a C, I had no idea what that meant. And this is from a person who's been in government for 25 years. She goes on to explain why she didn't know, and I thought this was the most amazing part of the entire 60 pages. She said she didn't know because she didn't remember being briefed on security protocols.
Right, or she couldn't remember key briefings. Now, if you dive into some of the news reporting on it, they don't claim that she necessarily came out and said, because of my slip and fall and concussion and I wasn't there, that's why I don't recall. But she was saying, I wasn't there a lot because of the concussion, and therefore I don't recall the briefing. So it's one of those...
Well, the FBI report quotes her doctor saying that she doesn't remember because of her concussion and the subsequent blood clot. There's a quote from the FBI. Maybe the doctor didn't say that. The FBI says the doctor said that.
Yeah, and just because you don't know something doesn't mean that you should be abdicated from, exonerated from it. I mean, think about if you drive through a stop sign and just blow on through it, the officer pulls you over, you don't say, oh, I didn't see the stop sign, I didn't know it was there, and then you don't get the ticket.
Well, that's right. Well, what's amazing is for the last 2 weeks, the Hillary people have been saying, and their lapdogs and bootlickers in the press have been saying, anybody who questions her health is engaging in conspiracy mongering, is a conspiracy theorist, probably an alt-right racist too. And yet here she is admitting that, like, her brain injury, or her doctors are conceding, I mean, she told the FBI this. I don't think there's any other way to read it, has prevented her from doing her job, and she can only work a couple hours a day. That's not conspiracy theory. She said that.
Last night, Governor Mike Huckabee said, you remember in 2008 when the banks were protected because they were deemed too big to fail. Well, he says Hillary Clinton thinks that she's too big to jail, and also says this.
For her to claim that she has less memory about what she was briefed on than Jason Bourne knew about his past identity is just not realistic. If she really doesn't remember fundamental facts of national security like this, then she has no business being sworn in as president, and we need to make sure the American people don't make what could be an incredibly irrevocable mistake.
So she said she didn't remember, I think, 40 times in this interview. That's once every 3 minutes. Have you ever had an exchange with anybody where once every 3 minutes you said, you know, I just don't remember? I'd start to worry about myself if I didn't remember. Memory is your personality. That's your life.
Well, especially when you're running on, I'm the most qualified candidate to ever run for president, and then you're saying, I can't remember, or I was deferring to somebody else.
Really, it should be, I think I am, but I can't recall how qualified I am.
Or when someone pleads the fifth, you know, I don't.
40 times? That's a lot of not remembering.
Let us know what your thoughts on this. We're going to dive a lot deeper into these emails throughout the show this morning. Meanwhile,